Salama Abada and OCO everyone. Today's episode is going to be on self encouragement because, to be truly honest, we all need self encouragement. Times get rough, the climate is not settling on us in the ease way. Life is throwing punches, and I'm throwing punches back. I'm the type of individual I fight back. I don't settle for less. I don't treat myself as such. I don't care if that was the condition I was born into. That don't mean I have to abide by it, live by it. If anything, I'm gonna thrive off of it. And that's where the self-encouragement come in at. And I didn't always have it. Nobody was born with instructions. Instructions is something we all learned along the way. So when it came to self-encouragement, mine stemmed from self-doubt, and I automatically knew where that came from because how I was brought up and the things that were said to me, which parents have to be very conscientious of because our parents is our first inner voice before we even develop and recognize our own. So, did I have that encouragement growing up? Absolutely not. Did I have instructions, guidance, examples? Absolutely not. I had people who put on masks and fake it till they make it, fake it till they make it, to an extent where they pretend like they have self-encouragement when they self-encouragement really come from validation. It was an underlying validation that they were seeking from their peers, from their support system, which is something I didn't have either. So self-encouragement was something that didn't happen overnight for me. It it developed, it processed along the way. And I don't regret the time frame because everything happened for a reason. I needed to go through what I went through in order to get through enough to tell someone else and be the blueprint for someone else. Because I always say and I always feel like nothing is done in vain unless you allow it to be in vain. Like as long as you got the omnipresent one that's inhaling and exhaling through you, you can proceed to do whatever that's within your mind to do. That's part of manifestation. And like I said, I learned all this through all the challenges I faced. And if it was easy, I probably wouldn't appreciate it at all. I probably wouldn't be as in tune with myself as I am now if it wasn't for those hardships that I faced. Now, would I go through it again? Absolutely not. Not knowing what I know. If anything, I know how to move around it. I know how to better navigate. I know how to better structure myself, and I know what to pass down if I were to have children. Like, I have to be the example I never had by being the opposite of what was presented to me. At times, sometimes, and within my case, you do not have to be led by examples that leads to a ditch. You just simply don't have to lead and abide by that. Where there's a will, there's a way. And it just so happened that I had to hit the highway, the higher way, which is the omnipresent one I lay out for me. And that came with scars. However, for me, scars turn to beauty marks. So I know how to make something out of nothing. I know how to, well, what seems to be nothing. I know how to transmute energy in situations. It doesn't happen overnight. Of course, there has to be procedures, and I'm all for that. I'm all building up. Whether there have to be time frames, or sometimes you just have to back away from time frames and release shackles that could become stumbling blocks eventually. And that's something that I had to just figure out, sort everything out within regards of that. And I say all this to say that this has led me to a realization that self-encouragement is necessary for me. especially what I'm doing now, like as a podcaster, as a CMD, the chief manager director of my own talent agency. I have to be that self encouragement. I have to be that, because if I'm not, nothing is going to get far. Nothing that I touch will prosper if I don't encourage myself. I don't care if the whole world was to hate me. I have to love me strong enough to bypass all that. I have to love me well enough to still figure it out. I can't let trials and errors be a part of my obituary. I'm just not willing to let that be. I know how I want to be looked at because I'm demonstrating that. I won't give up on me because I know how I feel to be given up on. And there's a strong enough willpower in me to keep going off the strength of that. Because if I were to give up on me, I have no one to lean on. And that's not to throw a pity party. Now, if you was to talk to me a year ago or a few years ago, yeah, I would have been throwing a pity party about that. Because everybody needs somebody, even if you pretend that you don't, you do. And I know I need somebody. It's just gonna have to be that right somebody. I'm not, and when I say somebody, I'm talking platonically. It don't necessarily have to be intimately. That's foregone from my mind. I'm focused on my career, self healing, self improving, and most of all, as I'm talking about today, is self encouragement. So I say that to say I'm all for purity, I'm all for authenticity. If I don't see it, I don't receive it. I'm not receiving nothing less than that, is basically what I'm saying. What I'm deserving of is what I be towards myself. I set the standard, I set the example. And I will not get nothing, I will not receive nothing less than that. Because it's not to say you won't be tried. What you say you don't want sometimes be a test and come your way anyway. And that's where I dip and dodge. That's what I call it. Dipping and dodging. I don't bring mess, I'm not accepting mess. And that's just that. As far as you getting mess out of me, it's the message. There's a message in every mess. That as far as it's gonna go with me. Other than that, I'm not accepting, I'm not receiving anything that's less than what I'm deserving of. And I know what I'm deserving of based off what I'm reflecting, based off what I reflect as well, out to others externally. And that all plays a hand within the self-encouragement, because you can't want self-encouragement if you talking down on yourself. Even if you do mess up, you still have to find a way to figure everything out. Be gentle with yourself. The world is already hard. Why add on to it? And that's note to myself. That's stuff that I tell myself to keep myself productive, to keep myself in a better head space. Like I already had my first inner voice, which is one of my parents, letting me down, talking to me any kind of way. That doesn't mean I had to be that. I have to be that. I don't have to be that to myself. And I said this before. How someone treats you is their karma. How you respond is yours. I'm all for self-defense. I'm not for self-destruction. And that's where the difference is at. I encourage my self-encouragement for me looks like removing myself from certain things that doesn't reflect how I treat myself. Self-encouragement is bringing myself up when I feel like the whole world has let me down. Self-encouragement for me is taking the time out that I need for myself in order to recharge. That way I can be presented as my best self at that moment. It's a lot of layers to self-care, self-encouragement. Those are layers that I'm willing to face. I'm not willing to run from. Because to run from one thing is to run towards another. And another might be self-destruction. And that's something I ain't willing to face. I witnessed it play out in other aspects. I'm not willing to see it play out in my own life. I had enough destruction as it is, afflictions that it is. I'm not trying to add on to nothing that could be detrimental to me, my headspace, my sanity, my all. And that's where it's aliyah, maya. I just, when you want better for yourself, you simply do better for yourself, even if it takes a while. Baby steps is better than no steps. Little process is better than no process. Little results is better than no results. I'll take the crumbs before I completely give up on myself. That's not what I'm willing to do, especially not in this time. Like, I look around and I see things and I reflect on things and I sit in it, even within this given moment. I don't like where I'm at. However, I know where I'm not going to be, because everything starts. I was told to start with the mind. I dig deeper than that and found out that everything starts with the outer mind. And I had to cleanse mind. Once I cleansed mind, that's when my mind became clear and cleansed as well. So I say that to say I had to start at base one in order to even address what I'm facing now. Because what I'm facing now, that's not base one. Base one is the root from childhood to 27. I'll be 28. So before I turn 28, I'm already laying down a whole new foundation to follow, a whole new set of guidance to fall through with. And not necessarily fall through, but to grow through, to flow through, to fly through, to prosper through, to thrive through. I'm uplifting myself in every aspect. And when I say I'm all that I got, I'm talking about the body. Because outside of the body, the almighty, the omnipresent one is the one that I have truly and always have, even before I had myself. That's actually where I learned self-love, self-encouragement from, is the almighty. Because that was the only one that stuck with me. And I wouldn't even say stuck with me. That's the one that stayed with me when I feel like everyone else left me. And I wouldn't necessarily say left, just never wanted to be a part of my journey. I'm glad to be in the headspace that I am now, because hearing myself say that, I don't feel sad, I don't feel angry, I feel relieved. Because when you learn to love yourself, it's not to say anything outside of yourself won't faze you, because I have feelings still. However, it won't faze me to the degree of me self-destructing, crying it out, and being miserable, and stopping my process, stopping my motion because I don't got this, I don't got that. From this person, from that person, when I could simply just be that for myself, even if it take longer, so be it. At least I'm stepping up to my own plate. I'm not expecting no one else to do that. What may not be easy may still be worth it. And you wouldn't know unless you try. That's all I've been doing, trying and putting in effort. Because sometimes trying ain't good enough if the effort ain't counted in. You know, even when everyone counted me out, the dog wanted to say something. But anywho, even when anyone count me out, I know that I'm always going to be counting myself in. And what comes with that is accountability. Like, I have to show up for me. I have to keep record of me and what I got going on, what I'm doing. I have to make sure that everything what I've been through and what I'm continuously going through, even within this moment, it has to be accounted for one way or another. Because Creeyeh gonna make sure that happen. Not my mother, not my father, not my cousins, uncles, aunties. I'm responsible for me. Even if I didn't have the proper guidance, the proper tools, I figured out, I find it along the way. I don't care if I'm a late bloomer in certain areas. I don't care. I've been humiliated. None of that phases me anymore. What phases me is overcoming that. That's what phases me. It's overcoming. That's my main focus. That's my drive. That's my motion. That's my push. That's the activity of my energetic field moving. That's my motivation. That's my intentions. And overall, to top that all off is freedom and providing myself that space to be self encouraged. Because it's easier said than done. To do it is to really show that you care. And I go through every emotion in the process of self encouragement because there are days where I simply don't feel the need, the drive, and I sure don't be having no reason to care. I find it through isolating, through recharging myself, tapping into my inner child, going back into memory lane, cleansing out all the lame crap that overshadows what I can gain, what I can gain, and turn into lessons, and turn lessons into miracles. So, and I stated this before also, I don't regret anything. I don't blame anyone. I'm happy where I'm at mentally. Physically, I'm automatically going to improve if I'm already taking the steps forward, already having stuff in place, staying ahead of the curve. And that's something I'm willing to do. I'm thankful. If I'm not thankful for anything else, I'm thankful for the Almighty giving me the ability to even comprehend. Because it's one thing to learn, it's another to read, it's another to listen, it's another to see, and it's another to experience. But to be aware of it all makes it all worthwhile. Being through, going through, getting out of, improving, being a light for someone else. And that's what makes self-encouragement worthwhile. It truly does. Tapping in with nature recharges my ability to be self-encouraged. It reminds me why I do it. It reminds me why I should never give up on me. I look at it like this. If the Almighty don't give up on me, why should I? I live to see another day. I have another chance. I'm trying to see what the Almighty see and why I was even created or thought of to begin with. That's my focus. Not necessarily on the drama that's going on inside of me, outside of me. It don't matter what angle it may come from. There's a stronger purpose. There's a stronger focus. There's a stronger meaning. And with that self-encouragement, I'll find it, I'll seek it, I'll be it. I am. I'm going to extend this and make this part of my affirmations that I have. Which is another tool that I was granted access to further stay encouraged. Just having those affirmations written down, having something to look back on, documenting everything. And I'm going to say this all the time because it's something I'm not going to take lightly. What I've been through was enough for me to black out and not have sanity right now as I speak. What I've been through was enough to call it quits. And I know most will say, well, we all go through. Well, if we all go through, how come we all don't have the same blueprint on how to get through what we all go through? Somebody got to be, and even if you do give out a blueprint, that might not fit everyone's scenario. Everyone go through differently. Everyone respond differently. You know, what works for you works for you. Everyone audience and existence within that is custom made. Stick to that script. Stop trying to be and remake. of what's out of alignment of that. And that's note to myself. I don't want to get beside myself to the point that I have to refine myself over and over again because I refuse to accept what was always there before I was even thought of, which is my Adonai. I have the power, the will, the desire to care enough to cherish that, and that's what I shall do. Staying focused, not be driven away by the nonsense. Like I was stating in one of my social media posts, I don't shy away from nothing. And I can use that in the aspect of self-encouragement. I don't run away from nothing that can discourage me from being self-encouraged. I address everything head on. What may be low vibrational to you, I could find a way to transmute that into a high vibration. Because that's just who I am as a being, as someone who exists simply. When you really want something for yourself, you'll find a way. And as for me, I'm always find a way to stay encouraged. Even if you have to take courage to get to that point. Even if I have to fight my way through. I keep saying it, it's real though. It's not easy. Especially when all you have is you outside of the Almighty. Internally and externally. I'm the omnipresent one. I'm grateful. Because everything could have been worse. Everything. The fact that it hasn't been as worse as it could be, worse than it was, worse than it is. And when I say it, I'm talking about my whole life experience as a whole. I still have a reason to keep going. I still have a reason to be self-encouraged. And may someone get some type of gem in some fashionable way, shape, or form out of this. May this spark someone to be just as self-encouraged or beyond that. In all seriousness. Because you will be tested. You have to be strong though for yourself in order to show up and be strong for anyone else. You have to be self-encouraged for self in order to be encouraging for someone else. Everything starts with self, even if no matter who tell you different, no matter what's been programmed, you are the capability to restructure, structure, and balance. Find your equilibrium. Because that's what I tapped into in order to stay encouraged. Even when I'm discouraged, I'm always looking at it from an optimistic way. Like, okay, well, at least it didn't go this far. So let me work with what I got. You know, that's the type of mindset I'm maintaining. That's not to say I don't hear the pessimistic. Because I do. I hear both sides. It's just about choosing which one works best. Which one has the better outcome. I'm all about the measurement of it all. So it's just not being self-encouraged. It's having the courage to say it. To say it, to live out it. It's all going to be worth it. It's all going to be accounted for. I don't want to be long-winded. There's going to be times where I don't feel encouraged. So I might, ain't no might about it. So I will address it further on. Until now, I'm going to conclude it. So until next time, Argayudi and Varada Kadesh.